Ethan had spent many months on the research outpost, a lonely metal station built on a quiet rocky plain far from Earth. Most days felt the same. He woke up early, checked the weather sensors, repaired broken wires, wrote reports, and tried not to think too much about how silent the universe felt around him. Even though he was here for peaceful exploration, sometimes he wondered if humans were simply guests in places where they didn't fully belong. But tonight felt different. The air outside seemed heavier, the sky darker than usual, as if something important was waiting to happen. Ethan had been sent out to inspect a communication tower that kept sending weak signals. Normally, it was a simple job connect. A few wires, tighten a few panels, check the power flow. He had done it so many times that he could almost do it with his eyes closed. He walked through the rocky field with his flashlight in hand. The wind carried a strange sound, something like soft humming. At first, Ethan thought it was just the tower acting up again, but the sound didn't match any machine he knew. It was smoother, almost alive. He paused and listened more carefully. That's when he heard footsteps. Slow, steady, not human. Ethan froze. His heart began beating harder, and he fought the urge to run back to his outpost. He had been trained to remain calm, but no training truly prepares a person for the unknown. He turned slowly, shining his light toward the sound. A tall figure stepped into view. She was covered in dark, reflective armor that caught the moonlight and made her seem larger than she really was. The helmet hid her face, but Ethan could feel her eyes on him, watching his every movement with sharp focus. The sight sent a chill down his spine. This was no human visitor. It was an alien. Ethan had heard rumors about them. Some explorers claimed they had seen shadows moving at a distance. Others whispered about strange lights or footprints, much larger than a human's. But no one he knew had ever seen an alien up close. His hands shook slightly as he lowered his flashlight, not wanting to appear like a threat. The alien took one more step forward, then stopped. Her voice broke the silence. "You are the human named Ethan." The voice was calm, female, and surprisingly clear. The helmet must have been designed to translate speech instantly. Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out at first. His throat felt dry, as if his voice had been stolen by fear. He tried again. "Yes." "I'm Ethan. How do you know my name?" The alien woman did not move. Her stance was strong and confident, like someone trained for battle. Yet there was no sign she intended to attack. Her shoulders were relaxed, and her hands were not near any weapons. "I have studied your world's transmissions," she said. "Your name appeared frequently in the reports from this station. I came to find you." "Find me?" Ethan repeated, trying to hide the nervous tremble in his voice. "Why?" She lifted her head slightly, as if examining him more closely. "To observe, to speak, to understand humans without the influence of my people." Ethan took a slow breath. This was not the meeting he expected to ever have in his life. Part of him wanted to run. Part of him wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Part of him simply felt stunned that an alien stood only a few feet away. "What do you want to talk about?" he asked. She stepped closer, but not too close, just enough to show that she meant no harm. "Your kind has been misunderstood by many of us," she said. "Some believe humans are weak. Others believe humans are dangerous. I want to decide for myself." Ethan nodded slowly. "I guess humans probably misunderstand your people too." For the first time, the alien tilted her head in what looked like curiosity. "Yes, humans speak with fear about us. But fear makes truth unclear." Her words were calm, almost thoughtful. Ethan felt some of his fear begin to fade, but his heartbeat still thumped loudly inside his chest. This situation felt unreal moments ago. He was walking alone to fix a tower. And now he was having a calm conversation with an alien warrior in the moonlit night. He studied her armor. It was elegant but strong, made of smooth plates layered like a protective shell. The helmet design had sharp lines, almost like a bird's beak. The armor made her appear tall, almost intimidating, but her voice held none of that intimidation. "I didn't know any of you would come here," Ethan said honestly. "The station hasn't detected any of your ships." "We travel silently when we wish to remain unseen," she replied. "I came alone." Ethan swallowed. That answer was both comforting and a little worrying. If she could arrive without detection, how many others could do the same? Still, she seemed peaceful, and he reminded himself not to jump to conclusions. "What's your name?" There was a short pause before she answered. "Lyra." The name didn't sound harsh or alien, it almost sounded musical. Ethan repeated it softly. "Lyra," she nodded once. "Why me?" Ethan finally asked. "There are other researchers here. Some are more important. Some know more about alien technology. I'm just a repair engineer." Lyra did not hesitate. "Your reports were honest," she said. "You speak with clarity, not pride. You do not try to appear superior. Such qualities matter." Ethan felt a small wave of surprise. He had never imagined someone, especially an alien, would seek him out because of his honesty. In his mind, he was just an ordinary worker, doing an ordinary job. Lyra then glanced at the communication tower behind him. "Your device is malfunctioning," she said. "Its frequency is unstable. You can tell that from here." Ethan asked in disbelief. "Yes," she answered simply. "Your machines speak loudly to those who can listen." Ethan almost laughed despite the tension. "Well, if you can hear what's wrong, I might need your help. I've been trying to fix that tower for a week." Lyra didn't laugh, but something in her posture softened, as if she understood his attempt at humor. "Show me," she said. Ethan hesitated for a moment. Working side by side with an alien was something no human manual had ever prepared him for. But she did not seem dangerous, and she had made it clear she came to talk, not to fight. So he walked toward the tower, and Lyra followed quietly. Her footsteps were heavier than his, and the ground vibrated slightly under her weight. Ethan climbed a small ladder and opened the access panel. The wires sparked weakly, flickering like tiny stars. Lyra stepped closer, watching every movement. "Your energy conductor is cracked," she pointed out. "That is causing the signal loss." Ethan looked closer and she was right. He had checked that conductor many times, but he had never noticed the crack. It was small, almost invisible in low light. "You see things differently," Ethan said, honestly impressed. "That is why we must learn from each other," Lyra replied. "Alone, we are limited. Together, we see more." Ethan felt those words sit heavily inside him. It was strange how a single meeting could shift his view of the universe. Minutes ago, he thought of aliens as mysterious, distant beings. Now, standing next to Lyra, he realized they were not so different. They had doubts, curiosity, and a desire to understand, just like humans. As he repaired the conductor, Lyra stood quietly nearby, scanning their surroundings as if protecting him. Even though she hadn't said it, Ethan sensed she was making sure nothing threatened them. When the tower finally hummed back to life, sending a clean signal toward the sky, Ethan let out a breath of relief. "It works," he said. Lyra nodded. "Good. Now we can speak with fewer interruptions." Ethan looked at her, surprised. "You came to talk more?" "Yes," she said. "Our conversation is only beginning." For the first time since she appeared, Ethan did not feel fear. Instead, he felt curiosity, strong, bright, and unstoppable. Whatever Lyra wanted to discuss, it was going to be important. He could sense that this night would change more than just a broken tower. It might change the future of humans and aliens forever, and he had no idea what would happen next. Ethan stood beside the communication tower, still trying to understand everything that had happened. The night was quiet again, but not in the usual lonely way. This time the silence felt full of questions, full of possibilities, full of the strange new presence standing only a few steps away from him. Lyra watched the horizon with sharp focus. Her armor reflected the moonlight in soft silver lines. She looked like a warrior ready for anything, yet there was calmness in her posture. A kind of peace Ethan had not expected from an alien soldier. He rubbed his hands together, trying to ease the nervous excitement that ran through his chest. "So, what do we talk about now?" Ethan finally asked. Lyra turned her head toward him. Even though her helmet covered her face, he could feel her gaze steady, thoughtful, and searching. "You asked earlier why I came here," she said. "I will explain." Ethan nodded and waited. He felt like a student waiting for a lesson he didn't know he needed. "My people do not trust humans. Lyra began. They believe humans hide many things. They think humans say one thing, but feel another. Ethan pressed his lips together. It hurt a little to hear that, even if it was somewhat true. Humans get scared, he said quietly. Sometimes fear makes people act in confusing ways. Fear, Lyra repeated. Yes, that is the reason I am here. Ethan's brows rose. Because of fear? Yes, she replied. Fear can start wars. Fear can destroy peace. If we do not understand it, we cannot prevent it. She took a step closer, and Ethan felt the air shift around them. Not in a frightening way, but in a serious, almost sacred way. I came to see what kind of human you are, Lyra said. Came to see if honesty is possible between our kinds. Ethan swallowed. He had never been tested like this before. A single conversation suddenly felt heavier than any mission he had ever taken. This wasn't just about fixing machines or gathering data. This was about trust between two worlds. What do you want to know? He asked, his voice soft but steady. Lyra didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached up to her helmet. For a moment, Ethan thought she was adjusting it, but then he realized what she was doing. She unlocked it. A soft click echoed through the air, and slowly she lifted the helmet away from her head. Ethan's breath caught. Not because of anything strange or frightening, but because the act itself was shocking. Her armor had been her shield, her protection, her identity as a warrior. Removing it meant she was making herself vulnerable in a way no soldier would do lightly. Her face appeared under the pale light. Smooth skin with a soft glow, eyes shaped differently from humans, but filled with intelligence and warmth. Her hair flowed back like dark threads woven with silver streaks that shimmered gently in the night breeze. Ethan didn't move. He was too stunned to speak. Now, Lyra held her helmet at her side and said, "Armor is our strength. We remove it only when we trust the one before us, or when we ask for truth." Ethan felt a wave of pressure fall over him. Not fear, responsibility. She had risked something big, and now she expected him to do the same in his own way. "Be brave," Lyra said softly. "Speak honestly, human." Ethan's heart thumped so loudly he could almost hear it. Never imagined that in one night an alien warrior would stand unprotected before him and ask for his truth. He took a slow breath. "What exactly do you want me to be honest about?" he asked carefully. Lyra looked straight into his eyes, her expression calm but intense. "Tell me what humans truly want from us, not the words written in reports, not the statements given by leaders. Tell me the truth inside your heart." Ethan looked down at his hands. He wasn't used to being asked such deep questions. Most people didn't ask him about his inner thoughts, asked about tools, repairs, schedules. Nothing like this. But Lyra waited patiently, her eyes unwavering. She had shown trust. Now she wanted trust back. So Ethan spoke. "I think humans are scared of you," he said quietly. "Not because you've attacked us or hurt us, because you're unknown. And humans fear what they don't understand." Lyra listened without interrupting. "But that fear doesn't mean we want war," Ethan continued. "Most humans just want to live peacefully. They want their families safe. They want to explore without hurting anyone. They want to learn, not conquer." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Is that your truth? Or your hope?" Ethan smiled sadly. "Maybe both." She didn't speak for a moment. The night air moved softly around them, carrying the gentle sound of distant wind. Ethan worried she might not believe him. But then she said something unexpected. "It is a good truth," she said. "A peaceful truth." Encouraged, Ethan went on. "Humans make mistakes," he admitted. "We act fast, sometimes too fast. But that doesn't mean we hate your people. We're just trying to find our place in the universe. And sometimes finding your place means bumping into others." Lyra's eyes softened a little. "And do you, Ethan, want peace with us?" Ethan met her gaze. "Yes, I do." This time, Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, as if letting the words sink deep inside her. When she opened them, there was something new in her expression, something like hope, but careful and fragile. "There are many among my people who think humans seek to expand, to take, to control," Lyra said. "They say humans use soft words while preparing sharp actions." Ethan shook his head. "That might be true for a few people, not for all of us. Not for me." Lyra stepped closer until she stood only a short distance from him. Her armor glowed faintly under the moon. "Then show me," she said. Ethan blinked. "Show you what?" "Show me what honesty in a human looks like," Lyra replied. "Show me how your kind expresses truth, not fear." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "I didn't know how to show such a thing." He wasn't a leader or a diplomat. He was just a simple engineer with a quiet life. But Lyra clearly didn't think that made his honesty any less important. He took another breath and began to speak, not carefully, not cautiously, but naturally. "I get scared too," Ethan said. "But I don't want that fear to decide how I treat you. I want us to understand each other. I want to talk like this openly. I want the chance to show humans and aliens can trust each other," Lyra seemed to study every word he said, weighing them as if she could see their weight and shape. Her eyes glowed softly, carrying a quiet strength. "You speak from your heart," she said. "That is what I hoped for." Ethan felt a small rush of relief, as though a heavy stone had been lifted from his chest. It felt good to be understood, even by someone from another world. Lyra then looked at the sky. "This meeting is forbidden by my command," she said calmly. "If they knew I removed my armor before a human, I would lose much." Ethan blinked in shock. "Then why risk it?" "Because truth requires courage," Lyra replied. "And because fear will rule us both, unless someone chooses to step into the open first." Ethan suddenly understood. She'd come here alone. She had removed her armor. She had asked for truth. She had taken the first step toward peace. And now, she wanted to see if humans could do the same. The wind moved gently again, brushing past them like a quiet witness to their conversation. Ethan realized that this moment, simple, quiet, and unexpected, might become the foundation of something far bigger than either of them imagined. Lyra lifted her helmet again, but did not put it on. She held it at her side and said, "Now our understanding begins." And standing there under the moonlight, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. Ethan stood quietly, trying to steady his breathing. Lyra still held her helmet at her side, her face open to the night, waiting for him to continue speaking. Her expression was calm, but he could feel how seriously she took his words. She wasn't here for small talk. She wanted truth. Something real. Something that could help her understand humans in a way her people never had. The weight of her trust made Ethan nervous, but it also pushed him to be completely honest. He looked up at the sky, where countless stars stretched into infinity. And then he looked back at Lyra. "I told you, humans want peace," Ethan began. "But peace isn't simple. Humans argue even among themselves. Sometimes we don't even understand our own fears." Lyra nodded slightly, encouraging him to continue. "So when humans meet someone new, someone strong, someone different, they react in many ways," Ethan explained. "Some people become curious, some become excited, and some become scared and try to protect themselves." Lyra's eyes focused on him, sharp yet patient. "Protection is natural. Even we feel that." Ethan was surprised. "You do?" "Yes," Lyra replied. "We fear losing our home, our values, our families. We fear being changed by others too quickly. Your arrival in this region created waves among my people." Ethan let out a slow breath. For the first time, he truly understood the tension between humans and aliens. It wasn't hatred. It was fear of change. Fear of losing what mattered. "Then maybe we're more alike than we thought," Ethan said softly. Lyra didn't smile, but something warm flickered in her eyes. "Perhaps." Courage to Ethan continued speaking from his heart. "You asked what humans really want," he said. "I think most humans want to feel safe. They want to live without thinking someone will attack them or take their home. They want to learn new things, but slowly, step by step, not all at once. Humans get overwhelmed easily." "And do humans always tell the truth about what they want?" Lyra asked. Ethan shook his head. "No, not always. Sometimes they hide their true feelings because they're scared of being judged or rejected." Lyra considered this. "And what of you, Ethan? Do you hide your truth?" Her question struck him harder than he expected. He took a moment before answering. "I used to," he said, "but not now. Not with you." The breeze swept between them, carrying dust and the gentle scent of alien plants from the nearby valley. The world felt strangely quiet, as if the universe was listening to their conversation. Lyra stepped closer, her voice softer now. Then tell me something else honestly. Do humans fear us because of our strength? Ethan hesitated before answering. Yes. Your strength is part of it. But it's not the only reason. Explain. Explain, Ethan said. Humans don't know what your people want. They don't know your rules, your emotions, your history. When we don't understand something, we fill the empty spaces with our imagination. And imagination can be frightening. Lyra looked up at the stars for a moment. We understand little of humans as well. Your actions confuse us. You speak softly but act boldly. You search for peace, yet prepare for conflict. Your behavior is full of contradictions. Ethan nodded. That's true. Humans are complicated. We're hopeful and frightened at the same time. Brave, but insecure. Kind, but also defensive. And what are you? Lyra asked quietly. What does Ethan become when honesty is demanded? Ethan felt warmth rise in his chest. He had never been asked such a deep question before. Most people saw him as a simple technician, someone who fixed machines and followed instructions. But Lyra wanted to know the real him. I'm someone who wants to understand before judging, he said. Someone who wants to avoid mistakes. Someone who believes different kinds of people can learn to live in peace. Lyra studied him with a thoughtful gaze. Those qualities are rare among my people. Honesty and patience are seen as strengths, but open vulnerability is a risk. She lifted her helmet slightly, removing my armor. It is a symbol of trust. A warrior does not do this lightly. I understand, Ethan said, and I won't forget it. His sincerity seemed to reach her. Lyra lowered the helmet again, but she still didn't wear it. She stood in the open, unprotected, her expression open and determined. I came here expecting caution, she said. I expected you to hide behind your reports or your duties. But you speak with clarity. Ethan laughed softly. I'm not good at lying. And even if I tried, I think you'd see through it.
Perhaps I would,
she replied. But I wanted proof. Ethan tilted his head. Did you get it? I am beginning to, Lyra said. But I need more. She moved to a nearby rock and sat down, placing her helmet beside her. The gesture surprised Ethan again. She wasn't behaving like a guarded soldier anymore. She was acting like someone ready for a long, meaningful conversation. She motioned for him to sit as well. Ethan sat on the cold rock, keeping a respectful distance. Lyra's eyes met his, full of calm strength. Tell me about your world, she said. Tell me about your people beyond what your reports mention.
Out.
He described Earth not as a political subject, but as a living homotions. Mountains, forests, cities full of lights, children laughing. People working hard for their families, artists who created beauty, scientists who searched for solutions, elders who shared wisdom. Lyra listened closely, her expression softening as she imagined a world so full of life. You miss your home, she observed. Yes, Ethan said. I do. Then why come so far from it? Ethan thought for a moment. Because I believe the universe is meant to be explored. And because, if we don't learn about other species, we'll live in fear forever. Lyra nodded slowly. We share that belief. We explore because the unknown must be understood. But unlike humans, we do not trust icily. Our history has taught us caution. What happened in your history? Ethan asked gently. Lyra hesitated. For the first time since they met, she looked unsure. That is not my story alone, she said. It belongs to my people. I must be careful before sharing it. I understand, Ethan replied. You don't have to say anything you're not comfortable with. Lyra looked at him again with a new expression of respect. You have patience, she said quietly. That is what builds trust. Ethan smiled. Trust is slow, but it lasts longer when built honestly. Lyra stood up slowly and walked a few steps away, her eyes scanning the dark landscape. Then she turned back to him, her voice steady. You said earlier that humans fear us because we are unknown, she said. But I have learned something tonight. What's that? Ethan asked. That humans fear themselves even more, Lyra replied. Their mistakes, their doubts, their shortcomings. But you chose honesty despite that fear. Ethan felt his chest tighten not with fear, but with emotion. Lyra's words struck deep. So what do you think now? He asked. Lyra took a long breath, her silver-streaked hair moving gently in the night breeze. I think humans are not what many of my people believed, she said. You are flawed, but so are we. You feel fear, but so do we. And where there is shared fear, there can also be shared courage. Ethan felt something warm spread inside him. Hope again, but stronger this time. Lyra then lifted her helmet slowly. Ethan, she said, you have given me the honesty I sought. And now I must decide the meaning of your words. She paused, looking deeply into his eyes. This night has changed much, and Ethan knew she was right. Their conversation had become more than an exchange of words. It had become a bridge, fragile, uncertain, but real. A bridge between two worlds. Ethan watched Lyra with quiet attention as she lifted her helmet, holding it against her side but still refusing to put it back on. The night air was cool, and the moon cast long, soft shadows around them. Their conversation had already gone far deeper than anything he expected when he walked out to repair the communication tower earlier that evening. He had come here thinking about loose wires and broken circuits. Now he was standing in front of an alien warrior, who had trusted him more than he had trusted anyone in years. Lyra's eyes carried a heavy thought, something she had been holding back since the start of their meeting. Ethan could sense that this moment was different. She was preparing to tell him something important, something she didn't share easily. There is something you must know, Lyra said quietly. Ethan nodded, giving her space to speak. He didn't rush her, didn't interrupt. He had learned that patience mattered more than anything when talking to her. Lyra paced slowly, her steps smooth and controlled. She looked like she was choosing each word carefully, weighing the responsibility behind it. I am not just a soldier, she finally said. I am more. Ethan raised an eyebrow. More? What do you mean? Lyra stopped walking and turned to face him fully. Her silver-streaked hair caught the moonlight once again. My father is one of the highest commanders of our fleet, she said. He is respected by thousands. His voice can change decisions made across many worlds. Ethan froze, shocked. He had suspected she was skilled and experienced, but he never imagined she had such a powerful background. You mean you're... He started. Yes, she finished for him. I am the daughter of a leader. Ethan felt the weight of her words. He had been speaking honestly all night, but now their conversation suddenly held political importance, dangerous importance. One wrong word from him could affect more than just their personal understanding. It could influence her people's view of humans. Lyra watched his reaction carefully. I did not tell you earlier because I wanted honesty, not fear. If you knew who I was, you might have tried to shape your words to please me. Ethan shook his head. I wouldn't lie. Not even if you were the daughter of the entire universe's ruler. Lyra's expression softened just a little. Perhaps not. But the pressure would have changed your heart. I wanted your truth, not your caution, Ethan understood. She had come here not as a commander's daughter, but as a warrior searching for answers. A woman searching for clarity. Someone trying to carry a great responsibility on her shoulders. What you told me earlier, Lyra continued, about human fear and human hope. Those words will matter. They will be carried far. They may even influence the next decision my father makes. Ethan felt the ground beneath him suddenly feel heavier. That's a big responsibility, Lyra. It is, she agreed. And I am taking a risk by even standing here with you without armor. If someone saw us together like this, it could cause trouble. They may think I've been compromised. Ethan frowned. Compromised? Why? You're just talking to me, 'cause trust between species is rare, Lyra replied. If a soldier shows too much open connection with someone from another species, others may believe the soldier has forgotten their duty. That's unfair, Ethan said. Perhaps, she said, but it is the way things are. She walked to a nearby ledge, looking out over the valley below. The alien plants glowed faintly, painting the scenery in gentle blue light. Ethan followed her, standing a little behind her. "My father believes humans are dangerous," Lyra said. "He thinks your people will spread too quickly, use resources without care, and disrupt the balance of this region." Ethan's heart sank. "Is that true for everyone in your leadership?" "Not all," Lyra said. "But many agree with him. They see humans as unpredictable." Ethan sighed deeply. "We're not perfect, but we're not enemies either." Lyra nodded slowly. "I know that now." She looked down at her hands. "But understanding that myself is not enough, I must convince others. And that will not be easy." Ethan watched her for a moment, admiring her courage. Being the daughter of a powerful commander meant her life was probably filled with expectations, pressure, and rules. And yet, she had broken a rule tonight just to learn the truth about humans. "What made you take that risk?" Ethan asked gently. Lyra's eyes lifted to meet his. "Because I was tired of hearing only one side of the story. I wanted to know the truth for myself. I wanted to see a human with my own eyes, speak to him without guards, without rules, without fear." Ethan swallowed hard. "And am I the human you hoped to find?" Her voice softened. "I did not know what I would find. But you were honest. You were steady. You were brave enough to share fear without shame." Ethan felt warmth spread through his chest. He didn't know what to say. He had never expected his simple honesty to matter so much to someone, especially someone like her. Lyra continued, "When I first arrived, I thought you would either fear me or flatter me. But you did neither. That is why I revealed who I truly am. Trust must be balanced." Ethan nodded. "Then thank you for trusting me." Lyra took a breath. "There is something more you need to know. If I report that humans desire peace, my father may question my judgment. He may say, 'I was influenced by your presence.'" Ethan frowned. "Influenced by what?" "By your openness," Lyra answered. "By your willingness to speak honestly. By the fact that you did not treat me as a weapon, but as a person." Ethan was silent. "If he believes I am too sympathetic," Lyra continued, "he may remove me from missions. Or worse, restrict me from future diplomatic involvement." Ethan felt a tightness in his chest. "That's not fair. You're trying to help." "Trying to help often invites risk," Lyra said, "and I am prepared for it." Ethan stepped a little closer. "Then let me help too." Lyra turned her head slightly, curiosity in her eyes. "How will you help?" "We'll create something together," Ethan said. "Plan. Something both humans and your people can understand. A message that shows cooperation is possible." Lyra listened closely. Ethan continued with growing confidence. "We can record shared observations from both sides," he suggested. "Small things, simple things. How humans behave when not under pressure, how your people communicate when they feel safe. We can show both sides the similarities instead of the differences." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "A joint record?" "Yes," Ethan said. "Not official, not political, just us. Two voices from two worlds." Lyra considered the idea deeply. It was a long moment before she spoke again. "It could work," she said slowly. "If we present something balanced, something honest, my father may listen. Others may listen too." Ethan smiled softly. "Then we'll start with trust. You already took the first step. Now I'll take the next." Lyra's expression warmed, not exactly a smile, but close. "You are braver than you believe, Ethan," he chuckled. "I don't feel brave." "Courage is not the absence of fear," Lyra replied. "It is choosing to act despite it." They stood side by side, looking out over the glowing valley. The silence between them was comfortable now, full of unspoken understanding. They had crossed a line not of danger, but of connection. A connection that could shape the future of two worlds. Lyra lifted her helmet again, but before placing it on her head, she said in a calm voice, "This night will be remembered." Ethan nodded. "And it's only the beginning." And together, under the gentle light of the alien moon, they prepared for the uncertain journey ahead, one built on honesty, trust, and a fragile but growing hope. After Lyra left the human outpost, Ethan spent the next few days living with a mix of hope and fear. He knew she was returning to her people to speak honestly about humans. But he also knew that her words alone might not be enough. Alien leaders were strict, proud, and often suspicious. If they believed she had grown too close to a human, they might punish her or remove her from her respected position. Ethan tried to remain calm, but the worry kept returning to his mind again and again. Each morning, he woke up early and walked near the border area where they had first met. He kept remembering her last expressions, determined and full of trust in him. It made him feel responsible for much more than himself. He wasn't only trying to help Lyra, he was trying to help two entire worlds understand each other. And that thought was both frightening and inspiring. The human commanders asked Ethan many questions. They knew he had spoken with an alien warrior. They also knew she had removed her armor as a sign of peace, which was unusual and symbolic. Ethan told them everything what Lyra had said, what she believed, and how she wanted to encourage trust between their races. Some of the commanders were hopeful, while others were doubtful. There had been years of tension and many warnings exchanged between the two sides. Peace was always discussed, yet never reached. Still, they agreed to wait for any sign from the aliens. They placed communication sensors, kept watch on energy signatures near the alien border, and stayed prepared for anything friendly or dangerous. Ethan felt pressure from both sides, but he remembered Lyra's words: be brave. Speak honestly. That is the only way to worlds change. So he tried to remain strong. He reminded himself that even if the road was difficult, being honest and peaceful was still worth it. Several days passed without news. Then one morning, a human radar operator shouted out in surprise. A small alien craft had appeared on the scanner. It was flying directly toward the human outpost, but not in a threatening way. The engines were low-powered, and the craft sent a signal that looked like a peaceful greeting, not an attack. Ethan immediately ran outside with the others. His heart raced. He didn't know if it was Lyra or another alien. He also didn't know whether they came with good intentions or bad news. The craft landed gently near the outpost gates, and for a few seconds, everything was silent. Human soldiers lifted their weapons slightly, not to fire, but to stay cautious. The air felt thick with tension. Finally, the door of the alien craft opened. Lyra stepped out, but she looked very different this time. She wore no armor, aren't even the light armor she had removed before talking to Ethan. Instead, she wore traditional clothing from her culture. It was simple, elegant, and showed she was not here as a warrior. She came as a messenger of peace. There was no aggression in her expression, only calm confidence. Ethan took a step forward, and the moment her eyes met his, he knew something important had happened, something good. "Ethan," she said softly, "I am here with news." He nodded slowly. "I'm ready to hear everything." She took a breath, then explained, "I spoke with my father and the council. I told them everything about you, your people, your honesty, and your fears. At first, they disagreed with me. They believed humans were too unpredictable. But I kept speaking. I reminded them that fear and misunderstanding will only bring endless conflict. After long discussions, they finally agreed to open the door to peaceful talks." Ethan felt his chest grow lighter, as if a heavy stone had been removed. "So, they're willing to meet? With humans?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, they will send representatives here soon. But that is not all." She paused, and her voice became quiet, almost gentle. "They want me to be part of the peace group. They said my experience with you has shown them something they never considered before, that humans and aliens can actually understand each other." Ethan felt a warm wave of relief. He wasn't just happy for the progress it meant Lyra was safe, respected, and trusted. Her courage had not been punished. It had been recognized. "That's incredible," he said, smiling. "You did something amazing." "No," Lyra replied, stepping closer. "We did something amazing. Your honesty gave me the strength to speak, and my words gave your people the chance to be heard." Human soldiers lowered their weapons, and the atmosphere softened. It felt like the beginning of something new, something hopeful. They walked slowly toward the open area near the outpost. where the wind was calm and the sky wide. Lyra looked around, observing the human buildings, the equipment, and the quiet movement of soldiers. Her eyes did not show fear or suspicion this time. Instead, she looked curious, thoughtful, almost comfortable. "This place," she said, "it is different from our cities, but it has its own beauty." Ethan smiled. "I'm glad you see it that way. I came with another message," she added. "My father said that peace can only happen when both sides show trust. I showed mine by removing my armor. Now he wants humans to show something to honesty in their actions." Ethan nodded. "They will. I'll make sure they do." Lyra studied him for a moment, then smiled very softly, something rare for her. "I believe you." They sat on a large rock near the outpost fence. The sun was warm, and quiet winds moved across the land. It was peaceful in a way that made Ethan think about how different their first meeting had been: tense, cautious, uncertain. Now sitting beside each other, it felt natural, almost easy. She spoke again. "I told them that humans are afraid. Many of our leaders had never considered that. They always thought humans only wanted to grow stronger. They never thought you were scared too." That truth changed their thinking. Ethan thought about that. "Fear causes a lot of problems. On both sides." "Yes," she agreed. "But honesty removes fear." That is what I learned from our meeting. A group of human commanders came forward asking to speak with her. Lyra did not step away from Ethan. Instead, she stood beside him as if they were partners in the same mission. She introduced herself properly, answered questions calmly, and explained the Alien Council's conditions for peace talks. The human commanders listened respectfully. They promised to prepare a meeting area that felt safe for both species. But even while she spoke formally, Lyra kept glancing at Ethan, as though he was the one familiar anchor in a land full of strangers. Ethan noticed it, and it warmed him inside. After the conversation ended and the commanders walked away, Lyra turned to him again. "There is one more thing," she said. "What is it?" he asked. "My father said something surprising. He told me your judgment is changing. But changing is not weakness. It may be the beginning of a new path." She looked at the sky thoughtfully. "I think he understands me more than I expected." Ethan smiled. "And what path do you want to follow?" She looked at him, her eyes steady. "A path where humans and my people can trust each other. And perhaps," she paused, "a path where you and I can continue to learn from each other." The words carried a quiet meaning. Not romantic, not dramatic, just honest. The kind of honesty she always demanded. Ethan felt a peaceful feeling spread inside him. "I'd like that too." They stood side by side, watching the sky where future alien ships would arrive not as enemies, but as guests. A new beginning was forming in front of them, built on courage, honesty, and the willingness to trust someone from a completely different world. Lyra finally spoke one last time before stepping back toward her craft. "Ethan, thank you for being brave when many would have been afraid." He shook his head. "No, thank you for trusting me first." Smiled, a real warm smile this time. Then she said softly, "Bravery and honesty change to worlds today." And it started with a single conversation. With that, she promised to return soon, then entered her craft. Ethan watched as it lifted into the sky, leaving behind a trail of light and hope. For the first time in years, two species had chosen peace. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt like he had helped create something truly meaningful. Their meeting was not an accident. It was the beginning of a new future, one built on trust, courage, and honest words spoken between two very different beings who dared to understand each other.